G'day! So, I had a bit of an experience the other day where a lady in town mentioned that she was having trouble with self-love, and I could really see the pain in her eyes, and she asked me if I was going to be running any workshops or any, you know, sessions in town, which I don't know if I will be yet, but I thought, you know, this is a struggle that a lot of people have with self-love, and I thought that while I bake myself some healthy paleo bread, which is delicious, and I'll share the recipe with you, I thought that I might talk about my self-love journey at the same time, and hopefully it helps someone who's struggling with it. Because my self-love journey has not been easy, and it's taken me a very long time to reach a place where I don't beat myself up, or if I do, it's very rare, and I'm super aware of it when I do it, and then I very quickly can figure out what's happening. You know, comparing to judging myself, beating myself up, you know, having really negative thoughts, not wanting to be alive, just horrible things like that. So, the reason why I'm making paleo bread is because a few weeks ago I actually had a parasite. And when you have a parasite, you're not supposed to eat any sugar or, you know, carbs and stuff like that. So instead, I made this paleo bread and discovered just how delicious it is, and it's kind of like the only bread that I want to eat now. Plus I feel really good on it, my body feels really good when I eat it, and yeah, I think that you might enjoy it as well. It's almond milk. 5 eggs for this recipe as well. Sunflower kernels. Have lots of chia seeds. We have linseed. Pepitas. We have a little bit of baking soda to go with. Salt. A little bit of almond milk in as well. A food processor. I only have a tiny one at the moment. I stole it off my mum because I don't have a food processor. I need to buy myself one. If you have a bigger one, it's better. I really don't think anyone is really born hating themselves. I think it's just something that comes along the way. Because when we're born, we're just this pure whole being. But depending on our circumstances, where we're born in the world, how we're conditioned, and what we're told we should and shouldn't be, all these thoughts and ideas come into our heads of what we should and shouldn't be. And I think that a lot of self-love, self-hate actually stems from the fact that, you know, there can be lots of different reasons, but I think a big part of it can be mainly because we're not living according to what feels right for us. We're living according to other people's expectations of us, society's expectations of us, what we've been told to be. And I also think that's where a lot of depression and anxiety comes from, you know, especially maybe referring back to my experience of life. The times that I've experienced horrible depression to the point where I was idolizing suicide were the times where I wasn't happy in my job, or I wasn't happy in my relationship, or I was going down a path that wasn't really me. So, you know, I'm not against any emotions, because I think that all of our emotions and everything that happens with us, you know, there can be a reason behind it. And if we stop rejecting those feelings and try to stop repressing them, then we're more likely to figure out the message behind them and what's trying to come up, what message is trying to come up. And this has been a really huge thing for my life, that, you know, I don't see negative emotions as a bad thing. You know, so if you feel self-hate, or there's some work that you need to do around self-love still, and you don't feel good in yourself, I don't see that as a bad thing necessarily. I just feel like there might be a message in that for you, that, you know, those negative feelings that you're feeling, they're messengers, that's all. And if you're brave enough to really sit with them and listen to them, then often you will my voice just cracked. Often you will figure out what that message is behind it. And based on my journey, man, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Based on my journey, you know, my self-hate, not liking myself, depression, anxiety, body image issues came from a variety of sources. So with the self-love journey, I really think that it's not for the faint of heart, because you really need to be radically honest with yourself about how you're feeling. You need to become super aware of what you're feeling, and you need to go on an inquiry as to why these feelings are coming up for you. And you have to be radically honest with yourself. You know, if something's not working, if your relationship's not working, if your job's not working, if where you live is not working, if how you're living your life is not working, you need to be able to really sit with that and kind of listen to yourself as to why something might be going on. So I think that's one of the steps to being able to clear that energy, I guess, where you feel like the loving being that you are again. And it's not an easy journey. You know, I think a lot of people stay busy and avoid connecting in with themselves, because once we open that door, it's like opening a floodgate of possible emotions and pain that might arise that have been waiting for a long time to be able to clear and release and be able to come out and clear your energy. But we don't realize what it is, what's happening to us, and we freak out because there's just so much pain and suffering. And sometimes you get into this dark hole where you think it's never going to end, but that's not true. It does end if you allow yourself to go through this process, this wave, and learn along the way and really sit with yourself and figure out what's happening. It's gonna end, and on the other side you'll be a completely different person. It's just about, well, at least that's been my experience, and I've gone through some real darkness, especially over the past year since my ayahuasca. I've had to love myself through anything that I was going through, because that was the only way that I could fathom getting through that fucking darkness that I went through over this past year. Yeah. So I've just lined the tray with baking paper, brown baking paper, and this mixture is very thick because of the chia seeds swelling. And if it's not thick, then just add some extra chia seeds or almond meal to it. I might just add a tiny little bit more. mushing it around. Yeah. Just makes it fun. Getting dirty. Mush, mush, mush. Akagura-cha, akagura-cha. Akagura-cha-cha-cha-cha. But yeah, this, like, however I shape it, it just stays in place. So that's what we want. Now that I know about trauma and unprocessed emotions, the trauma that I had gone through with my dad or in childhood, that had translated to me creating these patterns of behaviors and actions that were there to protect me in some way, shape or form, where, you know, protect my heart because I didn't want to get hurt again. So when you look at it from that perspective, you're like, oh, it was just there to help me and just to protect me. That's because every single part of you comes from love. No matter how bad that part you think is, it's that part. We have different parts to ourselves, and each of those parts is there because it comes from love. It's trying to help you in some way. Your body isn't acting against you. Your mind isn't acting against you. It's just that we're not tuning in to the messages that they're trying to give us. And also, I also want to say that it doesn't always have to be hard. You know, sometimes things come up and you're like, and then you quickly realize where that pattern or where that thought or what that message is, and then it clears. And it's done, and that has been acknowledged, and you never have to face it again. So, you know, there might be some hard parts to this journey, but there can be also some really fast and easy parts as well. And some people's journeys to self-love might be easier than others. Mine has been hard, but it doesn't mean that it has to be hard for you necessarily. It's just we're all beautifully unique, and we all have beautifully unique journeys, and we all have our own truth that, you know, we might need to face and try to dig out under all this trauma, conditioning and crap that we get plonked on. It's like a game. It's like a game. Like, all right, there's this game, I need to get through all this, figure myself out, and then get to my inner truth. And the closer I get to my real inner truth, the closer I get to understanding myself, the more love I feel, and just self-acceptance and contentment and fulfillment within myself, because you just, well, for me, I just know myself better and understand myself better, and I'm just like, right, got it now. Whilst before it was like, my mind controlled me, and all my emotions were happening, and I felt like all these emotions were coming up against me. My mind was bringing up all this stuff, and I was just like, a mess. And I took it out of my body and just wasn't very kind to myself. But then you realize that nothing's working against you. Everything's trying to help you out in some way, shape or form. And once you realize that, once you really start listening to yourself and start connecting in with that self and developing that sensitivity around what's happening in you, what feelings are coming up, what's happening in your body, what energy is moving around, how long do I need to be with myself? What kind of emotions do I need to express right now? Do I need to journal? Do I need to talk about it with someone? Do I need to connect with someone? What's happening? What's the message behind all of this? Once you figure that out, it's like you're winning the game. You start winning the game. And yeah, that's a good feeling. Yeah, it doesn't mean that challenges don't come along. I mean, negative emotions can always be challenging. The parasite that I had the other week, that brought up a whole heap of shit as well, but you know, and it was really hard. I hated it. But now that I'm past it, it's like I can see how it served me as well, or how I created meaning around it, where it kind of serves me now, because it made me realize just how much I value my mental health. And you know, hurting my back has made me realize just how much I value having a fit, strong body that can carry me through life. And you know, I want to stay physically fit and able for as long as possible. So